Welcome to Hers
His
and Ours, part of the Scheist Podcast Network.
Season 1, Episode 7, Northern Exposure. Needing the cash to help the business survive, the family decides to sell its ranch house. Nora sees this as a perfect opportunity for a final family get-together. In a place of so many fond memories, the family disagrees.
We are back.
We are. Look at us.
Yeah. I think we, took a couple of weeks off of releasing episodes of this?
Maybe. Time is a blur these days. I don't know.
It is something like that. Time is flat circle. It's an illusion.
What is time? It's for a different show.
Yeah, we just go around and around. But we are here, and we're talking brothers and sisters again. We started watching some episodes. We had to catch up on new TV shows is what happened. So
yeah, I think that's what it was.
Now we're just slowly plodding our way through the end of White Lotus, and that opened up the doors to jump back in, watch some brothers and sisters, get back to this.
Yep. Here we are.
And here we are. So if you're here with us, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in and sticking with us. We appreciate it. Right?
Yes.
So this is Season 1, Episode 7. This is the family goes to the cabin.
Yeah, I feel like these few episodes are some of my favorite of the first season.
These few being the ones 7, 8, and 9?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the show is hitting its stride, I guess, or it is beginning to find its footing, at least.
I think we're getting cozy with the characters. Their chemistry is getting stronger.
I know all their names now.
You do? I'm so impressed. Wait till we get more characters that you need to remember. Anyways.
We do meet a new one. I don't think it's this episode.
It's not this episode.
But it's coming up.
Yeah, I think we're just seeing more of the complex layers of the family kind of unfolding. And yeah, we hit a stride with them.
Well, the reason that they go to the cabin is, as we've learned in the previous episodes, there is a large amount of debt that the family needs to make up. And the idea is to sell off some of their assets. And
because they're still looking for the missing money.
They are still looking for it. And they have this farm that they're looking to potentially liquidate and make a deal for. But the family, they grew up there. They spent a lot of time there as kids. So they're all sort of having second thoughts about not wanting to sell, but they don't really have a choice. And I think they're having a dinner, and they're sort of all lamenting the fact that they're going to have to say goodbye
to the ranch house.
And then
they decide not to go.
They all decide not to go. As a family, they decide we don't want to go there. And then, I mean, it's predictable, but one by one, we start to see the individual members of the family saying that, yeah, we should go there. No one's going to be there. And that's like the joke to start the episode, is that everybody in the family has the same idea. And it turns out that they all like kind of hooked up with this one dude. What's his name? Like Scooter McDoo or something like that. That's not his name, but
yeah, can't remember.
Douche McScrew.
Hoover or something?
Maybe. I don't know.
He's not really relevant.
No, he's not. But he is part of this like inside joke in the family, in that
he's the common denominator.
He makes the brother and sister like literal Eskimo siblings, as he took Kevin's virginity and then also Sarah's.
Yeah.
And then He's smoked out with
Tommy?
the youngest brother.
Justin.
Yes.
You don't have all the
I
names.
don't. I blanked. I blanked in the face of adversity. Yes, I know his real name, Dave Annabelle. Though.
Yes.
See, so I've learned that. Yeah. So the three of them all like hooked up with this guy in a different way, and they all did it in this infamous treehouse that's on the property. And so they all have this idea of going there separately, but that doesn't happen. The guy's name is Tucker Booth. I actually wrote it down. I wrote that down, but I couldn't remember Justin. I was close. Douche McScrew.
I said Hoover. I was
Hoover,
not close.
I said Scooter, so not quite there either. But even Nora ends up at the cabin with Dave.
Carpenter Dave.
And I found it kind of weird that he like acknowledged that they're flirting when they go to dinner, and he's like, no, I thought we were just like friends, like we're always friends. I was like, what is he doing? Right? Like he's clearly into her. They're going to dinner.
I mean, I think he was trying to save face a little bit, and also, Nora is still recently widowed.
Yeah, she talks about her dead husband at dinner. And
yeah.
It's like, well,
and so I think he was probably...
Let me get in them panties, Nora.
I think he was a little apprehensive because while this feels like a longer timeline to us with how we're watching it, I think this happens all in a very short period of time in the timeline of the show. So I think he's trying to be semi-respectful also of the fact that her husband just died, but also he's trying to not rush things too.
Have they established that he knew William?
Yeah, because he's been their carpenter for years.
He was just not on the show while William was alive, although he only had an episode to do that.
Yeah, when we see the flashbacks, it's around the business stuff, so he wouldn't have necessarily been in connection to any of that. So
okay, I'm just curious.
I don't think their paths will cross.
Yeah. I was just curious if it's like, oh, he was friends with William and that's how he became the carpenter. And
no, I don't think so. I feel like I vaguely kind of remember they mentioned it briefly or quickly, but it was so minor at the time. I don't think it actually held any weight and significance.
Yeah, probably not. But all of these wheels are in motion for all of the different members of the family to end up at the cabin for, a hilarious like crossover moment where they all end up there and like, well, shit, we didn't plan this, but we kind of did. And before we end up actually at the cabin, there are some important things that happen. And one of them is continuing Kitty and Warren's story. Excuse me. And Kitty is planning a rendezvous with Warren at the cabin. This is her coworker Warren, who she slept with while in a relationship with the other dude, and who is currently in a relationship with their other coworker Amber.
Yes, but Kitty makes it clear, because she's been kind of doing this flirtatious dance with him, as he has been with her, that, okay, I'm going to give in to this particular thought that they both have, but you have to tell Amber first, and you have to like break it off with her, because she didn't want the overlap, and she didn't want to be hiding it. Like, she wanted it to be like a clean break kind of a thing.
Yeah, but also, before she tells Warren that, she's already manipulating Amber into taking over this particular interview and telling her how well she's going to do, and I've got your back. Meanwhile, she's planning to go away with her man.
True. But I don't feel like they really established they're in a committed, serious relationship yet at this point. I feel like it's very cliche in a sense of intern, mentor
I mean,
kind of role.
that may be true, but they went on a double date. Like Kitty knows
True. I forgot about the
that
double date.
Warren
Yeah.
is with her. She knows they're together.
Yeah.
So to me, I was like,
still shady.
Kitty kind of shitty, but I said I do concede that she does tell Warren to come clean, but she knew what she was doing the entire time with sort of like reverse gaslighting Amber into being like, yeah, you got this interview. You're so great. You're so smart. You're going to do well. No issues whatsoever. Meanwhile, this is her plan the whole time, is to distract Amber so she can take Warren to the cabin. And then she puts the burden of coming clean about that on Warren when she could have just led with that and like, here, this is what I'm feeling, but if you need to tell her right now and then we can move forward, rather than sort of putting the ball in his court, which we find out later he has just been bouncing the ball against the wall and has not actually moved the ball onto Amber at that point. Amber doesn't deserve any of that, She doesn't deserve to be caught in the crosshairs of these two in their prick-waving contest with each other.
True.
And we also learn before the events of the cabin that Tommy and his wife, who I've still not learned her name fully. Julia. Tommy and Julia. They are at a sperm bank or a fertility clinic, at least. As they're discussing other
sperm
ways.
Donors.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he says, when I think of that guy's sperm inside you, I just want to strangle him. So this is just some stranger he's never met. It's just a face on a piece of paper, and he's getting like murderously jealous. So he's definitely having some ego issues with his sterility.
Little threatening of his masculinity.
A little bit, but at the same time, like I found that line delivery hilarious. Like, why are you thinking of it as some guy's sperm inside of your wife? Like, you're thinking of it in a way that's like
adulterous.
She went to the hotel and got banged, and then like there's just sperm in her. Like,
this is such a medical procedure. Yeah.
So I feel like that's a reflection of him maybe being juvenile and like not fully understanding of the procedure. Maybe not fully respecting it as a medical procedure and just thinking very micro level of how it hurts his feelings because he can't jizz enough.
Yeah, and this is part of like my issue with Tommy for a long time, because I feel like this is his outlook or persona, or however you want to label it, amongst several situations, like how he's with Justin. Like, he's not understanding the adult level of the scenario and weight of things, and I, not to disregard his like own personal self-esteem or like lack of adequacy, I guess you could say. Like, that's a very real thing to deal with.
Sure. I don't want to, I'm not trying to make light of sterility.
Of course, but like that's a real thing to deal with. But the reactive side of him and like how he treats Justin is like, this is a pattern for him. This is not just the like machismo reaction of like, I don't want a sperm in my wife. It's like, it's just
too bad.
It's just so it's so amateur-esque in my mind. Like, I don't know that most adults, and we know like men mature slower than women. We already know this, but like, I still don't know if you're going down the fertility road, if most adults would get to the point of being like, oh, I don't want this guy's sperm in my wife. Like, you would think you've probably done some research or have some kind of knowledge of this process, or the doctors have explained something to a certain degree where that just feels childish or just like, not even slapstick. I feel like it's even below a slapstick humor kind of thing. Like, he was serious in it. He wasn't trying to make a joke out of it.
That's why I got the laughing face emoji right there next
in your note
to the quote. But since you are more familiar with the show than I am, do we know A, how old these characters are, and B, what their age difference is in the family. Because I think I know the birth order, but Tommy's the oldest boy and Sarah's the oldest sister. But the difference in maturity between Sarah and Tommy is like 10 years worth of maturity, maybe even more than that. So I'm curious if she is maybe more mature based on being significantly older, or if this is just the sign of Tommy being a very immature sort of man child.
Yeah, I don't know that the ages are really established, except for I feel like in a coming episode, something comes up. I feel like something comes up that kind of hints at it. But I don't know if we ever really know. I think they've got to be, I want to say, like 30s to 40s range.
Because it's like in my head, I'm sort of imagining them in their 30s and maybe 40s. But at the same time, I think I'm just imagining that because I'm 40. And so I'm projecting a certain age onto them, where it's entirely possible that Sarah is maybe the oldest at 30, maybe 35. So it maybe ranges. Justin's clearly, I think, in his 20s.
Okay, so this show is taking place and starts in 2006, right? Mm-hmm. I see the only age we know, and I think this was a hint, like I think he says this at some point, is Kevin is born in 71.
Okay, so
he's the fourth.
5 then?
He's the fourth in line. Okay, so they should be they're in their 40s.
So that says that Tommy is very immature then.
Yes, because he's over that age. He's older than him.
There's no way that guy was born in the 60s.
I mean, at the time, that would have made him in his 40s, though.
I understand that. I'm just saying, like, Tommy's character doesn't strike me as a guy that comes from the 1960s.
I mean, I think that's what makes it even funnier, though, because, again, like, that doesn't seem like an appropriate thing someone his age would say or even think necessarily, but...
Okay. Well, we've established that he is immature, and that is fair.
And this has been an issue for a while. I mean, it's been an issue since episode 1 and how he reacts to Sarah taking over and their dad putting Sarah in charge. And, it's like, well, Sarah's also the oldest. That shouldn't come as a surprise. Kitty, I feel like we had heard something about a birth year because of later episodes, but I don't remember what year that was. So, I mean, still, Tommy being older than Kevin would make him late 60s potentially. Maybe mid 60s.
Yeah, it's reasonable to assume that they're all between maybe 35 and 40, at least the top 4. Justin definitely seems like late 20s, though, but he could have come 6 years later and not have it be like that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's why I feel like in the next episode with the military stuff coming into play is why I feel like he's younger and why we thought they would be older. Is because of the age I think he talks about being when he's enlisting.
Yeah, because...
when 9/11 happens.
Yeah, so that's 2001. Figure he's 20, 21 at that point. So he's maybe 26 or 27 on the show. In my head, I was thinking like 28, not quite 30, but definitely in the second half of his 20s. Even his maturity, for the most part, is above Tommy's, at least his emotional maturity. Tommy's like, well, I'm married and I have a job and therefore, like, I'm a man. And so maybe it is meant to be that sort of stereotypical type of character where it makes it maybe easier to write some of those character notes. But I was just curious contextually to try to because I feel like watching the show, they're mostly like peers because they're working professionals, they're adults. It's not like watching a bunch of children. It's not like maybe something like Dawson's Creek, where they get a little bit older, but they're still very clearly in their 20s. So there's sort of like a cap on the level of maturity that there can be. And we see a lot of sort of marital discord in the show so far, which would imply that they're probably a little bit older as well, at least to be having the kind of conversations they're having. But we'll go back to the timeline of the episode that we're on. Before they get to the barn still, Saul is being exceedingly shady, continued, as he doesn't want to disclose that Rebecca might be the password that they're looking for after he found it out. And I'm trying to understand why at that point.
I think he didn't want Sarah to know that he knows about her, because Sarah doesn't know about her at this point. So then it's another layer of like, okay, well, I figured this out, and I know like Saul's probably known that Rebecca's had a daughter this whole time, but Sarah doesn't know that. Right?
I mean, yeah, that's true. But if the reason he's doing that, like, do you think Saul is doing it to protect Holly or to protect the kids from the potential knowledge of that?
I think his loyalty is to Holly very clearly at this point.
Okay, so if that is the case, him not disclosing that information, what does it result in? Holly getting brought in and then like deposed, where she first of all is like, yeah, sure, I volunteer to give you whatever information you need to maybe like find what you're looking for, and then she gets interrogated like all day long by the family's lawyer.
Yeah, but I think that's because Sarah, obviously Saul is not really good at having a poker face.
Yeah.
So the more Sarah was poking, she realized Saul is hiding something, because Sarah's seeing all the names listed. So he's like, well, who's Rebecca? And Saul can't hide that on his face. So he didn't do a good job of concealing that at all. And she figured it out. And then Sarah initiates that, not Saul. So I still think Saul is and again, I don't understand why his loyalty is to her and not his actual family. I can't stand Holly, but I won't digress there, but it just doesn't make sense at all in any scenario.
Yeah, I don't think it's this episode where we learn a little bit more about the Holly Rebecca situation. It might be the end of this one, but before we get to the end, we end up at the cabin, and Nora and Dave are there without their clothes on because it was raining outside. And of course, the answer is to just strip down. And of course, they don't know the kids are coming. Kitty shows up on her rendezvous with Warren. And I love that when Warren pops in, he's like, oh, looks like you guys had the same idea that we did, because he sees them in their state of undress and immediately is like, oh, I see, like your mom beat us to the punch there. And so I like the mechanism in that a lot of what the show is trying to like repair the relationship between Nora and Kitty specifically. So by putting them both there in a compromising position, like they have to work together. And then as more of the family begins to arrive, Nora's panicking and needing to explain things. And she tells Kitty at one point, you're the journalist, lie.
I love their scenes together.
They're very good.
They're so good together.
And that's obviously a big part of the show, in that the first episode is Kitty coming back home, and we're aware that there's this huge chasm between the two and that they're kind of just playing nice to make William happy. But in his absence, they're trying to like actually heal their relationship a little bit. And it's not easy, but they're working on it. And so we get that scene, and then Joe and Sarah show up, I think, next, or maybe not next, but they're there.
Kevin
and Scotty show up, and Nora's saying some shit from the kitchen, and the shot is like the family sitting on the couch, and she's above them in the raised kitchen, and she's spinning some yarn, and the look on Joe's face is like he's not buying any of it. And so even though he doesn't really like speak or do anything, I like that little wrinkle of him kind of being able to show what it's like to be maybe an outsider to that family. And we get a lot more of that as this episode unfolds, because we see that Scotty's there, Joe is there, Warren's there, Dave is there. So a lot of non-family members are there to observe
the
family dynamic. Yeah. And it's one of my favorite things that happened on This Is Us as well.
Yes.
Which I felt like I wanted more of, because that is like a whole separate identity of the show, is all the people who are sort of outsiders to the family talking about what it's like to be outsiders to that family. And so it was nice to see it happen fairly early on here. But they, I don't know if it happens before or after the dinner party, or maybe, I think it's before. They're having lunch, and Justin is there now. The whole family's there, and Tommy is ignoring him and being a dick. And he tells Kevin, like, I need help fixing this tractor. I've got to go do like man stuff outside. And, Justin's trying to help, getting ignored. He's trying to like really patch it up with Tommy, like, yo, bro, what did I do? And we find out that Tommy is really, I think, just pulling Kevin aside to confide in him about being sterile. And then also, surprise, can I borrow some sperm, bro? Your sperm inside my wife is totally cool. I wouldn't want to strangle you. I'm not thinking about it like that.
But he does this without even talking to Julia.
Yes, correct. She'll be cool with it.
But the crappy thing is he made Justin feel so shitty and being like, no, you don't need to help with this. Like I don't want your addiction genes in my child.
Yeah, I think that's really what it was about, is that, Kevin has his own projections about why he was chosen to be the sperm donor.
Yeah.
And I think Tommy, acting in the way that he's been established to us, is that he thinks Justin is not a good genetic bank to pull from, but like Kevin is responsible and smart, and Kevin makes it about him being gay, which I don't think it ever was about, really.
I mean, no, I think it was a little bit, because in his mindset, I think it was like, if Kevin at some point wants to have kids, it doesn't necessarily mean he would use his own sperm for that to happen. Like, they may adopt, like, him being gay means he's not, like, quote unquote, wasting it on Tommy and Julia when he has a potential wife he could be impregnating. So I think he did make it about that a little bit.
You think Tommy did?
I think so.
I mean, I didn't look at it that way, but also I'm looking at like Tommy, I don't think is smart enough to think that far ahead. I think he's more like, the way that he interacts with Justin right before that conversation happens is just like he might have gone to Justin in the past, but because of his current relationship with Justin, he's like, that's off the table. Let me ask Kevin.
Yeah, but I think it's established like he doesn't respect Justin for a long period of time now. And I do think, I mean, I don't want to give Tommy too much credit, but because Kevin points it out, obviously it's an insecurity of Kevin of like, oh, well, I'm gay, so I must not be having kids. I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy had that thought, though.
Potentially. Yeah, potentially, yes. But I don't think that was like the intent of him asking either.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the intent, but I'm saying like, I think that was probably a contributing factor, and Tommy rationalizing it was okay to ask Kevin.
Yeah, without consulting his wife first. So, yeah, Tommy finding out that he's sterile really catalyzed a lot of odd events in this show. But we go from that. It's still daytime because Warren and Kitty have walked around the ranch, and it's like a weird commercial for the Republican Party all of a sudden, where it's like, yeah, ranch life is awesome, and I believe in the family values and I believe in America. And then she stands and she like puts her hands on the gate and she like looks over the ranch. And it's like it's just a very like odd moment. But like her and Warren are sparring at that moment, and he says something about Republicans, and they have a little banter, and he's like, "No, the one is enough." But he's bullshitting about Amber at the time too, and then they come back, and I think they're on the porch at the house when they're having this conversation, where I knew already before he said it that Warren did not tell Amber about what was happening with Kitty, and him blaming Kitty for it is some gaslighting nonsense. And I'm like, that's dumb. And his hands are not clean in this equation. But Kitty also did exactly what I said she did earlier. And knowing full well that she was going behind Amber's back when she did it, rather than just telling Amber, like, what's going on with you and Warren? This is like our situation. Like, what's the deal? Like, she didn't communicate to the third party and they just treated her like she was disposable. Both of them did. So that sort of gets little ugly, but then it's like, hey, it's dinner time and everybody's still there. And that's when I feel like that family dynamic comedy comes back into play because
Kevin told Sarah,
then Sarah, she said that Kevin was being a punk or something like that.
Selfish.
By not doing, you're being shitty by not doing it, right?
Yeah.
And I think Kevin has every right to say no. It's his decision. He doesn't have to do that for Tommy. So it's like, hey, the rumor mill moves pretty quickly. Everybody finds out. Julia finds out at the table that this has happened. And then it's like, okay, well, we're all going to hash it out, right? And then it kind of comes full circle to where Kitty is the one who is in support of Kevin doing it. Or in support of his decision not to?
Yeah.
I don't remember. She's the one who didn't think it was weird.
Well, because no. They all assumed Kitty was going to have an issue with it because it wasn't the quote unquote traditional way to have a family, labeling her like more conservative on the Republican side, that she wouldn't support it. And she was like, I support family as family, however you get there, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. But she did support Kevin saying no if he wasn't comfortable with it, but also would have supported him saying yes to doing it.
Yeah, well, like I said, Kevin was reasonably, I think, weirded out by it, but also then went from, I think, having reasonable concerns over it to just being like outright shitty and treating Scotty like shit again.
Yeah.
And that's worse because like he's already done this to Scotty and he just like treats him like he's not really trying to involve him as part of the family. Like Scotty barely even ever talks when they're both together in the family environment. So it's as much as I like Kevin for the most part, and I sort of understand his like angst and his problems, when he acts shitty, he acts like pretty damn shitty. And I think maybe because he's like a lawyer, his personality allows him to like shift into like a very shitty type of aggressive behavior. And I'm never like, oh man, I really like hate Kevin. But I'm like, wow, he's being a fucking asshole right now.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference too between, Kevin being an asshole and then not recognizing it, but he does recognize it after the fact and he tries to repair. Where I think for me with Tommy is he doesn't always get there, and especially with Justin, until we see one of the scenes, at the ranch where he's like, Justin comes up to him and is like, why didn't you ask me, kind of a thing. I want to help and I want to do it. And Tommy is just shitting on him. And Justin had a very much more mature reaction and reason and articulate way to express that than even Tommy did. And those are the little things that I feel like Tommy when I say like he doesn't act like an adult in a lot of the, like he doesn't adult in some of these situations, is that he's not taking those things into consideration. Because, Justin's like, I watched people die, and he explains the situation that happened when he was.
Yeah. Tommy's like, I don't care. Your PTSD is bullshit, bro.
Yeah. And
You're
it's
just
like,
a junkie.
It's like, get over yourself already. Like,
Yeah.
let him talk.
Mr. Holier Than Thou.
Yeah, I can't stand him. And then it's like, hey, I owe a life. And like, this is a way that I want to help you. You're my brother. And this is a way where I can kind of like give back because I watched someone die while I was fighting in a war for our country after 9/11. Like, you asshole brother. Like, so yeah. And I feel that's where I don't give Tommy credit, where I do give Kevin credit when he's an asshole. He at least is like, oh shit, I screwed up, and he can take accountability. It takes him a while, don't get me wrong, but we almost never see Tommy get to those moments.
No, you're right. I mean, Kevin, like, even when he acts bad, he kind of immediately sort of knows that he's acted bad or feels remorseful that he's acted bad, and sometimes he can't repair it right away, but he does feel it. And, he has a conversation with Kitty about family at the end. And I think the episode ends with them at the donor bank, right?
Yeah, so they decide that they're both going to donate.
The brothers making 3 penis wine together.
No, it's still only 2.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Tommy doesn't get to just go in there for fun?
No.
Oh, that's a bummer.
You're making this into a show that it's not.
It's not Dr. Odyssey.
It's not. Both Kevin and Justin end up donating. They don't know which one's going to be biologically father, and Tommy like comes to peace with letting them both help, and Kevin comes around to wanting to help too. Justin, of course, always wanted to help, but now we see they both are going to contribute, and no one's going to know who the actual father is.
Yeah. So they both donate sperm, and then the doctors flip a coin, or they just
I think
they take the names off of the samples and.
No, I think what happens is because they're doing IVF, so they're going to actually fertilize eggs, all of Julia's eggs that they extract, but they may not know which sperm is which. So it's like whichever one works, that's the one they're going to implant, and so they may not even know. I mean, of course, there's going to be DNA tests available once the time comes.
I mean, I just had a lot of questions about how the sperm randomizer works, I guess, because the doctors know whose sample is which, and they're the ones doing the injecting.
Yeah, but once they're in like the incubator or whatever and see like which one is being fertilized or which one is working, they're probably not keeping them labeled of which sperm was which. They're just checking to see which one is actually working.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So we get like a happy ending on an episode that was about sort of like saying goodbye to something important, but you're also saying hello to something new that's equally and differently important. And I think the last note was still about Saul not wanting to say Rebecca's name because he's protecting William and Holly. Like, he's protecting the family from the knowledge of Rebecca and then protecting Holly from the wrath of the family or something like that. I don't know. Saul's a dweeb.
I can't stand Saul either. But I don't even know if that's true, because if you think about it, do you really think Nora does not suspect that Holly's kid could be William's when they've been in this 25 plus year affair?
Yeah. I mean, she definitely would. She figured out the relationship like the whole time. Like,
she's known the whole time.
Yeah. So,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I don't understand Saul's motive here, or like, what is his rationale behind it? Like, it doesn't make sense. Again, why are you supporting Holly over your sister and your nieces and nephews? Like, forget William at this point. He's gone anyways, but the alliance to Holly is just, it makes my skin crawl.
Yeah. Well, I hope that gets explained more and we see maybe why Saul is as sort of prickly with them as he is, and I don't know.
I don't think it does, but I don't remember, to be honest.
Well,
so
that's
who knows?
Fair. So something that I wanted to do. Oh, remember I told you.
Oh yeah, there was something you were gonna say.
There was something I was gonna say that I said, remind me. So season 1 is the lowest rated season of the show. And it's
Interesting.
pretty drastic, where it has like a mid 6, and then the rest of the seasons are in the 8 range. So I think a lot of the things that I'm pointing out as far as like TV shows specific, maybe some structural like issues that I was having in the beginning of the show, maybe began to sort of level out over time, and like the characters became more themselves, and we got maybe more stories that were impactful. I feel like the show has been funny, but like I said, it has that weird sort of 90s rom-com music at times where it's meant to almost be a little like slapsticky, like Nora getting caught naked with Dave and like, oh, my kids are here. Like, it's a little weird tonally with the show that is dealing with some other like really heavy stuff. So I kind of just like don't need the sitcom style placating, and just give me like
The drama.
the mature drama. And it can be funny, like, This Is Us is very funny when it wants to be, but I would not say it's a comedy.
Yeah.
I even feel a show like Trying is, while it's a comedy, Bad Sisters as well, like I think they just understand the balance more, where it's like you can have like real important drama and then also have humor layered in there without venturing off into like, we need to have punchline moments in order to make this work. And so I'm curious to see how the show develops after this. And I mean, the next episode, we jump into like the first part of a 2-parter, and things like get pretty serious there.
Yeah. So that was it, though, about the ratings?
That was the thing, yeah. Because when we had talked and I had looked up the show, I was like, oh, yeah, I see. Like, it's usually pretty well scored, but season 1 was the lowest rated of them. The other thing that I wanted to do, that I want to try to make regular, is I have right in front of me the Walker family. Well, I guess Saul's technically not a Walker, right?
Not technically, no.
So should I cross him off the list? We'll just do the other Walkers, because Saul will always be at the bottom. The Walker family totem pole. So right now, I have it as Sarah, Kevin, Justin. Kitty has climbed the ranks into 4th place. Nora's in 5th, and Tommy's at the bottom in 6th.
Meaning of who your favorites are?
Yes.
Okay. Say that again, then.
Sarah, Kevin, Justin, Kitty, Nora, and Tommy. So it's changed in that probably only the bottom 3 has really changed, though. Kitty was at the bottom. Tommy was kind of just like floating around, and like Nora also sort of pivoting around. But I feel like Kitty gained back some points by owning her decision with Warren, knowing she's like, I should have just said no at the beginning. It's like, yeah, you fucked up, but you took responsibility for it, and you showed your brother that you have his back, and you're maybe not as shitty as you're painted out to be. So I was like, okay, she showed some growth moments. Nora is still trying to like lie that she's banging the carpenter, or that she wants to.
Okay.
And then still like accosting people at the dinner table. So like Nora continually falls. So like her and Tommy, I think, are going to be battling for the caboose. And then we'll see if Kitty can gain footing over any of the other 3.
Okay. So you want me to rank mine then?
Yeah. But maybe you can do that at the end of the next episode.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sure.
All right. Well, we'll see you again for episode 8.
Thanks for listening to Hers, His, and Ours. We'd love for you to continue on this journey with us. The easiest way to do that is to like and subscribe to the show on the podcast platform of your choice. Follow our socials at Hers, His, Ours, spelled like time, on Instagram and X. To keep tabs on this show and others in the Shice Podcast Network, follow at ShicePodNet on Instagram, Blue Sky, and X.